What is up, y'all? Snipes-n-Snarfblatts, your unauthorized place for Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilm. As usual, I'm your host, Jason. And before we get into what we usually do around here, I have to say I had nothing to do today, so I found myself monkeying around in the animal kingdom. And I'm only mentioning this because I went with specific idea that I was going to go meet Scrooge McDuck. And you know what? This was the most epic meet and greet with Scrooge McDuck I have probably ever had in my life. And why, you ask? Because I wore this here Beagle Boys shirt. And you know what? First words walking up to him was, "Hello, Mr. Scrooge McDuck. I really admire your money bin." And it was on from there. The hilarity ensued. We had so much fun going back and forth with this that it was probably the most fun meet and greet I've ever had in my life. But that's just something I wanted to mention, because remember, when you go to the parks, based on who you're going to meet and what you're going to do, wear whatever you think you should wear to complement the whole experience, because it made the day. Like, that was so much fun. I can't even tell you what else we did today, just because that stood out so much. Like, it was great. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about all things entertainment under that Disney umbrella, and even though there is not much this week, there are some really cool things to go over. So while this might be a short setup of a show, who knows, I could go on for the full 30, I'm not sure. But let's figure it out, let's roll on in. Here it goes, Mouse in the Desk Lamp. And what do we do in the Mouse in the Desk Lamp? We talk about Disney and Pixar stuff. This time in particular, we're talking about Pixar stuff. And we're going to talk about 3 Super Bowl commercials that happened before and after the Super Bowl. And they were short commercials, and they all approached what they did differently. This is the first of one of the 3, and this was the first one that gave just an actual full clip from the movie, it looked like, from start to finish. So you got a full 30-second clip of things that go on in the movie, and this thing's been catching a lot of hate, but I enjoyed it myself. I mean, I get where these folks are talking about. They wanted to relive the magic that was Toy Story. I just wanted to see some characters and see something new, and maybe even get out a laugh or two. And it helped on all those levels. I got to see the new Bo Peep. You got to see her in action, even though it was small action. It was just her saying, "Hey, where's Buzz?" Woody goes on to say, "I don't know where Buzz is. I thought he said he's usually going to catch up." So right as he says he's going to catch up, we find Buzz getting strapped to the wall of a carnival. We get to see the setting of the carnival, which looks amazing. And I got to say, the animation was different, but I was still impressed. You can tell, much like Cars 1 and Cars 3 when I was talking about in the movie review, you can really tell how Pixar has come a long way, because it looks a little different this time around. And the humor's a little different. The humor seems, as I was saying last week, like I thought we were going to get, the humor in this clip really feels a lot like the Wreck-It Ralph humor. It feels like more of a brass, less wholesome type humor, you know what I'm saying? But it was funny, and it's because we were dealing with new characters, the new characters of Ducky and Bunny, who tweeted throughout the whole Super Bowl. And if you did not see these tweets, go back and just read all the tweets from Ducky and Bunny during the Super Bowl. They are hilarious. I think I actually enjoyed those more than I would have enjoyed watching the Super Bowl, and from what I hear, that's not saying much at all. But they were great. I loved the animosity behind we were top character and now Buzz is here. Like I said, I thought the little skit was funny for it just being a 30-second skit. If 30 seconds can issue a laugh, there's a good amount of 30 seconds in the hour and a half that a movie's going to play. So if they can keep that up even on a 2 out of 4 50-50 basis, we're going to have a funny movie. Now, I mean, whether it is going to resonate with the emotion of the originals and put itself on that level of the originals, well, that's something we're going to have to see. But I think all they really wanted to do was say, look, Buzz and Woody's back. Here's a clip from the actual film. Because if you think about it, the first couple of trailers we've got for this movie, they didn't seem like they were from the film itself. They seemed like they were trailers just made to be trailers. Like the first Ducky and Bunny trailer, "To Infinity and Your Mom." I don't think that's really going to be in the movie. It just didn't feel like it had a place in the movie. There could be a piece of it, who knows, but this felt a lot more like a piece of the movie than that did. So I'm thinking, this is just me guessing and speculating, I'm thinking that that's what we were going to get right here. Is this was them, their first real appearance in the movie as characters. And like I said, I liked it. For what it was, I liked it. Is it going to get 60 million butts in the seats? Is it going to push this thing to $1 billion movie? I don't know. I doubt it. But in all honesty, I think it's going to hit that based on the fact that it's Toy Story alone. I mean, this is one of the greatest trilogies of all time. It's almost said and done that you're going to get people to come see this movie. So I think it's cool they're going to go outside the box and show us a clip of something that some people aren't really expecting, maybe to draw in people that they already know they don't have in the seats yet, as they all know we're in the seats. We're all signed up. I mean, Toy Story has probably got the best ratings on Rotten Tomatoes out of any trilogy ever. So they know they've got us in the seats for this one. Therefore, why not try to show some of the new humor and try to show some of the new characters and try to get some different butts in the seats that they know aren't there yet. That's just my 2 cents on that one. Like I said, I liked the trailer, even though some people are calling this 30 seconds a fail. And I also like the fact they use these shorter trailers, and we're going to kind of get into that as we get into the next stuff later on, and I'm going to break down all 3 of these trailers that were at the Super Bowl. But that's actually it for Mouse and the Death Lamp this week, and like I said, there's not much going. All the rest of the show is going to fall under the 9 Realms. And the 9 Realms is where we talk about every single thing happening in Marvel Entertainment under Marvel Studios that really hits my radar. And there were some big things that hit my radar this time. First, it's another... Well, before we go into the 30-second commercial or preview for Captain Marvel, whatever you want to call it, before we go into the Super Bowl trailer, I want to go into the one that came out maybe 2 or 3 days beforehand. And it was a 30-second clip that came from the movie, and it all involved the chase scene on top of the subway train. Where if you've seen the previews, it's where she uses her double-fisted like plasma power thing and shoots it across and breaks the bridge. Well, this added someone to that scene. You got to see Coulson and you got to see Nick Fury following her in a car and saying we're going to hit them off at the station. But to me, this 30-second clip, it was weird. I watched it a couple times and it just stayed weird. It started from nothing and it ended in nothing. It's not a good or bad clip. It's just a strange clip to show, to much like I said, get some butts in the seats. If you're going to try to get butts in the seats, this was a really strange clip to show because it honestly showed nothing. And not like, oh man, it showed an intriguing amount of nothing that makes me want to see more. No, it literally showed nothing. Like, you could have just showed them running from point A to point B, and that's basically all you really got right there. So I thought that was weird. But on a high note for this clip, I did take out this. This thing reeks of 90s-ness. Like, oh my god, this thing's got mid-90s down to a T, to the point where if this was really a finished shot, it even looks like the movie was shot in the 90s as opposed to some of the newer movies that we see. And I thought this was really cool. This adds to a lot of the essence of this throwback that we're getting right here. I mean, it takes place in the 90s. Why not? Train, 90s. Cars, 90s. The street they were rolling down, 90s. Everything of this just resonated with me on a 90s basis. And I mean, I that was my teenage years, the 90s. So I mean, I remember them better than I remember the 80s. So it really gave that feel. Like I was just waiting to hear some Kurt Cobain in the background or some 9 Inch Nails. You know what I'm saying? It was so cool to see that and get that out of it. That's at least the one plus out of this really strange clip. But we're going to roll right into this 30-second Super Bowl spot that Captain Marvel had. Because, like I said, you had 3 really different Super Bowl spots. And while the first one was a clip from the movie, like the clip from the Toy Story, this one was more of your condensed 30-second preview that we're used to, or that at least we used to be used to, until previews became this 2-3 minute, just blown out of proportion giant thing rivaling a small feature every now and then. Because we've got previews now that they allow us to sometimes over speculate to the point where it hurts the movie. This 30-second preview, it builded on some shots we've already seen, but at the same time, it was 30 seconds of bam, 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 look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. And I mean, it just kept you going and kept you going to the point where if you tried to sit back after this 30-second preview and formulate any opinion on what you think's going to happen, you would 98% be wrong. Like, because I mean, it doesn't give you all that. It just gives you enough really cool scenes and enough really cool substance in 30 seconds to get you this fast-paced action scale of what you're going to get. And honestly, this is what I used to remember as trailers. I want to say that's why so many bad movies had so many great trailers. It's because if you don't show anything and you just do it like this in this 30-second flash montage, no matter what it is, it looks awesome. And that's what I liked about this trailer. This trailer looked awesome. It made Captain Marvel look awesome. And that's what I was really wanting to see. I wanted to see Captain Marvel just basically look as great as I know it's probably going to be. And this did that. In 30 seconds, I might add. Which I was going to say, I was going to get into this 30-second preview thing a little more. And this is what I was really getting to is you can do so much in 30 seconds when it comes to a trailer that I don't know why we try to go beyond that. Because when we go beyond that, like I said, you get speculations, and speculations leads to sometimes it's not going to live up to the expectations that you speculated based on the overage of information you got in the first place. And I mean, that's just that's one of the things that sat with me while watching that is out of all the trailers we've seen, this Captain Marvel trailer was probably the most appealing to me, and it did it in 30 seconds. So I would kind of like to see more of these because, I mean, rolling into the next one, the final 30-second preview I wanted to talk about was we got a 30-second Super Bowl ad for Avengers Endgame. Whoa. What this trailer did in 30 seconds. And it didn't do it like the action montage, and it didn't do it like to show you a whole clip. It actually gave you a little bit of insight into where the last movie left off and kind of just set the stage. It was like a 30-second montage of setting the stage on where you left off from Infinity War for Avengers Endgame. And it was beautiful. It had some shots of post-snap, half the world gone New York. That were just breathtaking. They were so awesome. It put into our head the fact that there were support groups and people trying to really move on from this and deal with the fact that half of everybody is gone, because we as a people, we do move on. That's what we would do if this would happen. And I didn't really think of that more so than the heroes and half of everyone being gone. I didn't think of the fact of the other half of the people that actually had to live with this and move on from this. And that was deep. Like, being the first 10 seconds of the preview, really, that was deep. And so much conveyed just in that small amount, really setting the stage for this grandesque payoff that I think we're about to get. We also got some shots of Tony and Nebula building their ship, setting up the stage for that. We also got some shots of your new Avengers. I'm going to say new Avengers, but basically, it's not really your new Avengers. It's more so the Avengers that are left. And there's not that many left, but they do have a hodgepodge team together. You get to see Cap strap back up his shield again. The shield is returning, which means Captain America himself, as a symbol and not just as a character, is returning. And I think that's also going to set the stage for, like I'm saying, the mourning and the moving on that we're trying to get out of this, because this is deep. Like, we're really into some deep stuff when it comes to this movie that's supposed to tie together these 22, 23 parts we've got already now. And it's heavy, and you can tell it's real heavy material, and they did this in 30 seconds. But what's not 30 seconds is this thing's being test screened to audience right now. And I don't know, they said somewhere between 4 and 6 they've already done, and they're going to continue doing test screens. So far, Avengers Endgame clocks in at 3 hours long. I'm all for this. I think this is how it should be. 3 hours long, don't cut any more out. In fact, I still want a 4-hour special edition when this comes out on Blu-ray. But 3 hours long is fine for me. Hell, I sat through Titanic and watched a boat sink for 3 hours. I could definitely watch the culmination of 22 movies all together for 3 hours. So, I mean, while people are going back and forth on what they think about this 3-hour thing, I think it's what we should do. It's definitely what we should do. This movie deserves that much attention. These characters deserve 3 hours worth of story. And I don't think anyone's really going to have a problem with it, because there are many, many movies that clock in at this that have way less going on and manage to have us still enthralled for the 3-hour period of time. So I'm not worried about a 3-hour running film. If you don't think you should cut anything off of it, Russo brothers, do not cut anything off of it, as I am all for this, and I am already in for as much Avengers Endgame as we can get before everything gets flipped on its head and we got to deal with the inevitable secret invasion that's coming next and beyond that. So 3 hours is perfect. That's my real stand on that. I don't have much to really go into other than that, but like I said, great trailer. I loved both these trailers that came in the Super Bowl, Captain Marvel and Avengers Endgame. But Avengers Endgame really did a great job in setting the stage for where we left off, and a nice little segue to hold us over for the next couple months before we really get right back in. Because, y'all, I'm grinding my teeth getting ready for this one. It's going to be something big, and I really can't wait for this. I don't think I've been excited about a movie like this in a very, very long time. In fact, I'm not sure if I have ever been as intrigued and as excited for a movie as I am excited for Avengers Endgame. That's just, like I said, it was going back and forth with this ninth Star Wars, but after seeing that segue right there, it kind of made me realize that Star Wars is probably going to keep going. Star Wars is great. Star Wars has been life to me for so long, but we're 22 movies in now, y'all, and I've got to see this. Like I said, I've never waited for anything as much as I'm waiting for the end of this Avengers, and that trailer just summed up perfectly why. If you haven't seen it, check it out. They're on the site. We got a couple more things to talk about, but they're kind of combined. Bob Iger did announce that they love, go figure, they love making money. They are going to keep the R-rated Fox movies R-rated. So those people who want their Deadpool still raunchy are going to get their raunchy R-rated Deadpool. Still going to happen. I knew he wasn't going to touch this. It's probably not going to be part of the MCU, though. They're probably going to keep it separate. If I had to guess, they're either going to keep the Fox moniker, or we're going to see a rebirth of the old Marvel Knights moniker and just throw everything that they want to do R-rated under that and keep it separate from the MCU, building another basically R-rated MCU on top of the MCU they've got running, and they won't crisscross. Like he already said, they will be in a separate R-rated universe. So Deadpool will happen. It's just you probably will not be seeing Deadpool with next to Spider-Man and Captain America and whatnot. It seems like they're really trying to keep the R-ratedness away from the Disney family filmness, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. I wouldn't cross your fingers and bet on it, but you are safe to know your Deadpool will still be R-rated and everyone can still be happy, and go figure that Disney likes making money, so they're going to keep going with a giant cash cow known as Deadpool. Meanwhile, water's still wet. You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't a big thing. I knew this was coming. I said this when everybody was talking about it. You're not going to get a toned down Deadpool. It made way too much money, and everybody likes money. So you're going to see your R-rated Deadpool for sure, and that's not even me speculating now. That is straight out of Disney CEO's mouth, Bob Iger. So that's going to happen. Looking forward to it. I actually want to see them build on this because I want to see more R-rated stuff in their universe. This is something I wasn't even going to talk about, but I want to say this. I did finish watching Punisher Season 2 finally, and though Punisher was not really the Frank Castle you know from the comic books throughout this movie, or throughout this series, this was great. I loved Season 2 of The Punisher, and I would even more so, as much as I would love to see this go on, because it looks like Frank really is at a point where he's finally the Frank Castle you know from the comic books by the end of this thing. I'd rather see them razz the whole thing and see this get thrown in that R-rated universe of Deadpool. I could totally watch a Punisher movie. Even bring on John Bernthal and keep him coming, because he was great. Like I said, it was a little off character at first, but I think this was our last lapse if this show keeps going before we get right into the cutthroat, die-hard, all villains must die Punisher that we're used to. So it was great. Check it out if you haven't watched it. Season 2 of The Punisher was definitely worth watching. I think I jammed the last 4 episodes into one 4-hour period because I couldn't stop watching at that point. Great show. Just great segue into the craziness that will be Frank Castle. But now, back to the original stuff that's on my list right here. We're going to get into... I also talked about the future of the X-Men, but I've got 2 conflicting things that different people are saying, and they're both swearing to the words coming out of their mouths. So, not 100% sure what to take of this, but this is what we've heard this week about the future of the X-Men. Okay, so Collider had an interview with Laura Schuler-Donner. She's been attached to X-Men since the birth of this thing, you know what I'm saying? And the cinematic X-Men. And she says that after Dark Phoenix and New Mutants, which there's rumor these aren't coming out. There's rumor one's going straight to Hulu. It's just I don't know what's going on with Dark Phoenix and New Mutants. I have a feeling since they're in the can and so much money's been spent, we're gonna see these movies in one form or fashion because they've got to at least recoup a little bit of money that was spent. But I'm not gonna swear by that because from what I've been hearing, y'all, there is no telling if these things are gonna get stopped in their tracks and burned like a crisp. So I have no idea if we're actually going to see those, but those are done. But she said post those, everything you've heard about in the Fox X-Men universe that's in production is on hold. That means Gambit, that means X-Force, that means all of it, everything. Every single thing you've heard about in the X universe is on hold as of right now. She hopes that post-Avengers Endgame during the summer we'll get an announcement of the direction they're going to take with that. She also mentions she hopes for this to kind of touch new grounds and not go over the same stuff we already know, that they're really trying to find a way to freshen this up and not retread the things we've literally beat like a dead horse. I don't mind if we retread certain things. There's certain things in the X-Men franchise that have to be as they are. It's kind of like Spider-Man when we had to kill off Uncle Ben. We killed him 2 times in 2 separate series with 2 separate Spider-Man. Luckily, some of this stuff we haven't retreaded twice yet, and I think we can get away with twice as long as we do it in a new form or fashion and add a new kind of spin to it. But I too want to see some breath breathed into this because the X-Men have been hit or miss with me, and the continuity's been all over the place. That's no secret. The continuity of the X-Men franchise has been everywhere because Fox didn't care. They just did not care. They just wanted to rush out that X-Men movie and get it done. And if it didn't completely 100% add up, well, at least it's 60% adds up, so just go. And that didn't affect the quality, but the quality was there too. There were quality fluctuations. Some of those movies were really bad, and some of them were great. And they roller coastered. There wasn't like a decline or there wasn't like a build. It was just all over the place. So I'd love to see some MCU type consistency to X-Men. So I'm kind of glad hearing all these are on hold. Now, I said it was 2 conflicting things. So as this was being said, Brian Michael Bendis, one of my favorite writers in all of comic book history, has went on Twitter and told everyone that he 100% swears that his X-Men is still in production. The X-Men he's writing that was rumored that it was going to be follow Kitty Pryde a little more, but it's still in production and it's still a thing, and he's swearing to that. So there you go. 2 conflicting things. X-Men still in production. X-Men's on hold. If I had to lean towards one, I would probably lean toward X-Men being on hold. That one just makes more sense to me, and it gives them... They're going to have to take some time to see what they're going to do with this. Are they going to weave it in the MCU? Are we going to get a different X universe? It's a strange subject of things to touch. I would like to see the X-Men somehow, some way, seamlessly brought into the MCU. Now, you would have to play with all kinds of different things to make that happen. Whether it be reality warping, mind wiping, just you'd have to, on a universal scale, like you'd have to play with some big confusing things to make this happen, because you'd have to explain the fact why for 23, 24 movies plus we haven't seen mutants yet, for just to drop them in our lap. Or we can go ahead and go the ultimate route, say we made them. I don't know. There's many ways to go about this. I'm curious to see how they're going to do it. But I personally would love to see them get weaved in the MCU, because there are some very major X-Men Avengers type events that occurred that I think would look really cool on film, and I'd love to see. However, I am not opposed to them having them go their separate ways, because X-Men at one point was a huge universe that had to get scaled back at one point even. And I would accept that too. So I mean, I'm leaning neither one way or the other on how we do the X-Men. I'm glad that in the first report that I'm hoping the real one is I'm really glad they're going to take their time and let this pan out and see how this goes, because it's a very, very, very big thing to me, the X-Men. They're what made me fall in love with comics in the first place when I was a kid, when I basically first learned how to read and picked up a comic book. The X universe is where I delved into, and still to this day, it's my Marvel preference when it comes to reading the books. So I would love to see them do this right, and I think they're really going to take some care with it based on everything being said going in, and I can't wait till they roll out to us what they're going to do. But anyway, that was everything. That was everything for the Nine Realms, everything for the Mouse and Death Slam. We're only hitting 2 for 4 categories. I do not have anything for Eyes on Isley or the e-ticket, at least nothing big. Little small stuff here and there that I'm not even going to get into because it just wasn't that relevant for the e-ticket. And news was silent, Eyes on Isley. I wanted that Star Wars so bad. I wanted to know what the title was. There's a Reddit rumor going around that it's been leaked, but I'll believe a Reddit rumor just like I'll believe elephants can fly. Anyway, hit us up, hit the email address, check it out, give us some questions. Anything I didn't go over that happened in the past couple weeks that you want to see, write us, Snipes-n-Snarfblatts@gmail.com. We'd love to listen to what you got to say. Love going back and forth with y'all in the comments on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And speaking of Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, y'all know where y'all can find that. Well, after y'all subscribe and hit the bell, go down there in the little details, and you'll find where to follow us on Facebook, where to follow us on Twitter, where to follow us on Instagram, and where to follow us on Pinterest. Now, Instagram is one of my favorites to play with. Facebook and Twitter will keep you up to date with what's going on the website, and that is stuff that some of it I talk about on the show, some of it I don't. The big things always make it, but if you want it right as it happens within that first day, follow Facebook and Twitter, because I put them on the website first day or first thing in the morning the next day. But if you want it that close to time, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and you'll get updated as soon as possible. But Instagram, like I said, that's one of my favorite ways to interact now. I love Instagram. If you want park news, follow me on Instagram. You'll wind up getting all kinds of different shots of the park. Like I said, today we went to Animal Kingdom. I had some monkeys running around. Got our Waterfall Wednesday out the way at the Tree of Life. Anyway, it's a lot of fun on Instagram. I like to review the food and review everything we get into there. It's just, check it out. You'll see some really cool pictures. I try to find some off-the-wall pictures like of my friends the manatees over at Nemo and Friends, and just stuff like that. Stuff the average person that doesn't go a lot knows is there. You know what I'm saying? And other than that, things that just happen to be more beautiful than you can think. So don't look for 60 million pictures of the castles. Look for some really off-the-wall stuff that I try to find while I'm there, and I put it up there. So like I said, go down in those links. Follow us on all those social media sites. We'd love to talk to you, so hit us up at the email address. As usual, I'm going to sign off with a quote. This is a Walt quote. This is actually a really, really big Walt quote that I like. And this is, "There's more treasure in books than all the pirates' loot in Treasure Island."